Busy price managers require tools to help them strategically incorporate price changes and update prices. In this video, we'll walk through how you can adjust global and country prices based on a cost update using Zillion apps. Right away, once logged into Zillion, we provide the pricer everything they need to know to set a price, including key business metrics like revenue, profit, and margin, as well as a couple action cards that highlight some areas that I should focus on, such as cost and competitive price changes or pricing new products. Since the data all lives in one place, in our data hub, we can easily show important dashboards like this one and allow the pricer to customize or create new dashboards as they see fit. For today's task, I'll click into Zillion IQ. Here I see a list of my workbooks. These different workbooks help me manage different prices for different situations, such as an update to my price lists or helping me complete a specific task like passing a new cost or reviewing price alerts for my automated pricing strategy. Let's click into the Pass Through New Cost workbook. I created this specifically to pass through cost onto my list prices throughout my organization. I get cost changes often, at least once a quarter, so I created and configured this task for me and my other pricing team members to use. That brings out all the information I need to react to these regular updates. I'll start my task. The first step is to import my cost file. The products receiving a cost change are listed here in this Excel file. You can see the spreadsheet is pretty simple with just the product ID, name, and new cost. Let's go ahead and import the file in. With Zillion, it's super easy to get files into the system. No need for an FTP or API data transfer, just simple import from my desktop. You can see now that the cost has been imported and I've moved on to my next step, which is to decide how I want to pass through this new cost. When I created this sheet, I brought in related product fields such as brand, category, and current cost for my product master. I created a cost change calculated field, which is the difference between my new and current cost, and even highlighted the column if the change is too high, so I can take a deeper look. I also have the ability to review line level analytics such as list and cost change over time. These analytics are helpful to understand relevant trends for each row. I can see my KPIs are telling me that there are 30 price changes out of my over 6,000 products. Within those products, I'm seeing a 3.3 average cost change, but I can also calculate that cost change with historical sales. That's a 3.8 sales weighted cost change. This gives me more insight to the change and notifies me of the real impact. I can also see that the cost change is affecting a little over $2 million of my revenue, and that if I didn't take any action, I would take a 170 margin basis point hit. So to respond to this trigger, I've configured common cost pass-through strategies that I normally apply, like maintain margin, pass 100, 50, or none of the cost. As I apply different strategies across my lines, I can see how my KPIs are impacted. I can update the strategy line by line or update the strategy in bulk. Once set, I'll go to the next step, which is to see how my cost pass-through has impacted my global list prices. By clicking on Next Step, it brings me to my Global List Prices worksheet that's already filtered down to the products with the cost change. This is helpful to have predefined filters, but I can always add and remove filters as needed. When I created this sheet, I configured a price build that allows me to see how my price has been adjusted based on the cost strategy that I applied, and apply any overrides on top of that adjustment. I also built some formulas to help me project the impact a price change will have on my business. Many of these formulas use transaction data such as revenue and volume. Setting this up was pretty flexible, and I'll show you an example of this in a second. First, let's override a price and set it manually. As I update these prices, I can also see how my quantity break discounts are updating. I can set a discount on the global list for each quantity tier. To understand the impact of my new list price, I want to create a new KPI card that will show me my potential margin based on the trailing 12 months volume. I'll call this card New Margin and take the sum of the new profit divided by the sum of new revenue. This is a simple example of how you can use formulas in both the KPIs and columns within my worksheet. Now that I can see the KPI card and the impact, I think these changes are looking good. So I'll go ahead and publish my new global list prices. I'll click on Next Step. In my business, we set different country list prices based on the factors from global list. So when my global list prices change, my country prices automatically change too. I can control what those factors are here. For each of these countries, I've set a currency in which the prices are transacted. Right away, I can see the impact that my global list price had on my country prices, and I can see the price build as it starts from the global list, applies the country factors, then converts the price into local currency. And I've even created a rounding rule. At this point, I can override the build if necessary and then see my final country price. For this update, I want my country pricing team to review the prices before they're published. I'll go ahead and submit for country team review. As a pricer on the global team, my last step would be to review any country exceptions that have been submitted. But for today, let's open up a workbook I created for my country team with a simple task to review the price changes. When I open up this workbook, I'm only seeing the UK's price list. This worksheet has less columns, only showing what the country pricers need to see. You can see that we have about 30 new price changes. But what's really helpful here is that I can also see how my competitors are pricing compared to my product. The pricing manager imported this competitive data using the competitive pricing tab here. This is pretty helpful to see how my list compares to our competitors, and larger CPI values are highlighted for my attention. In this example, maybe I'll bring down my price to $8.25 to match my lowest price competitors. Now that I've made this update, I can see that this change is going to require central team approval because the change was outside the approval threshold. To save myself time, I'll raise the price to be closer to my highest price competitor. This puts me outside the needed approval threshold. Just like with my global prices, once the changes are looking good, I can go ahead and submit these prices back to the central team. With Zillion apps, I was able to quickly respond to a trigger in my business using process-oriented tasks, perform single and mass line updates using informed KPIs, and complete pricing team approval workflow. To learn more about how Zillion helps pricing teams establish, manage, and automate the pricing process, contact Zillion today.